Hi, welcome to my tube. My name's Marge. I'm a Hale empath, and I just like having these little talks on the way I feel about things. I feel pretty darn good today. My eyes had a little pressure earlier, but that's subsided substantially, so for that, I am grateful. It's been a long day. Dogs have had their dinner, and they're all chill, wind down. Cat was just freaking running around like a lunatic, acting like he wanted to eat, but I just fed him. It's just the energy. It's vibrant. Mom's just kicking back in her chair with Sassy on her lap, just like, hey, what's up? We just had a really cool conversation. She's chill. She didn't really feel much like dinner. She had a couple toaster strudel, blueberry. So she's in a good mood. We had a really nice talk and about how she sees things and how I see things. And she's like, wow, you think about a lot of stuff. Like, yep, I sleep really good at night for about 6 hours. 7-ish. I don't know. Energy. I know a lot of people aren't sleeping right now. The energy's been pretty wild. I've like Benny will get up at like 11 or 1 any given time. It's been the full moon and stuff, and just when you can rest, get the rest you can. I mean, a whole lot of other stuff going on. It's been all overcast, so it's been like all day evening here in Salem, Oregon. So I woke up and I saw this video of this dude named G. Anderson, and I looked him up. This is like the first 10 minutes I was awake today. I watched this video he put out a couple days ago, and I went down that ant hole real quick. And that's what I do. This is how I look at things in life. I look at G. Anderson, I listen to his story, and I was like, man, I really like what this man has to say. Go look it up. It's viral. So then I Google his name, and then he had a second video out. So I look into the second video. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. I look at his Facebook page. Now I like to use different words, but people know what I'm talking about. They're my own little whimsical synonyms. I'm an IT as a professional, so I know what the workarounds, and that's why codes and things and symbols and things. It's a two-way street. It doesn't just have to be for the dastardly. It could be for the light too. It's all what you make of it. That's how I know what people are cool. Like if I'm in a room and I'm hanging out with 8 people and one person has Vans on and the 7 people have frickin' Prada or whatever, Gucci or whatever, frickin' name brands, or Red Wing boots or whatever, and Vans. I'm gonna go stand by the person in Vans and see what they're about, because it's some of these things are closer than the other. It's all about vibe to me, and I've lived my life that my whole entire life, and I've always been treated like a weirdo, and now it's everybody else is starting to step into it, and it feels pretty good. So I listened to this guy talking. Yeah, I'll let you go look it up yourself if you want. Greg Anderson is his name, and at first is like I was like, oh, his name's Greg. That's my dad's name, and we aren't really in alignment. We'll just leave it right there and for today. But Anderson is a town that my mom lived in, where I got a bunch of my Vans. I got like 60 something pairs of Vans that I just collected because I go home and see my mom in Anderson. There's a Vans outlet right there, and I'd get one of those big old huge suitcases, that were good enough, $70-$80, good enough. This is in the 2000s, I was in the Air Force flying back and forth to California every now and again. And then I'd just fill up half of the suitcase with clothes that excess, because most of the stuff I needed I could fit in my backpack, my carry-on. And then I'd get like freaking 8 pairs of Vans at the outlet stores, because they'd be marked down in my size. I'd take whatever, and close enough. So I've acquired a nice collection of Vans. So we were given little tells and Easter eggs on what representation of people are. And the man Greg, and that's why I was like, I didn't just discount him. Oh, his name's Greg. I don't need to listen to what he has to say. Every Greg's, I don't do that. I go, oh, okay, I take that into account. All right, so the man, he obviously does have an ego, and it served him well, but it's not so big that. But his message is freaking wonderful, and that gives me hope. The man gave me. I was like in tears this morning because I'm like, oh my god, there's more. If there's more dudes like this, but he's not a cop no more. But you know, but the thing of it is the energies are really are they're like a harp, and they're playing the heartstrings of freaking of revolutionary energy, and revolutionaries can be peaceful too, you know. Walked down memory lane this morning. I went upstairs. I was looking for a t-shirt because he had his Ranger t-shirt on. And see, symbols show us representations of who they are, and they're very quite simple. That's why I always, like, when I do an event or I do whatever, where I work at whatever, I always get a t-shirt. I'm always getting a t-shirt. This one I like. It's like it says Redding, California. This was Circuit Face Butt in the freaking 2012, I think, like that. Redding, California. And then it says at the bottom, it's where my story begins. Little did I know my story began, well, from one source, one spirit, freaking. There's no. Anyway, we don't need to get too far off that tangent. So I saw this. I was watching this dude's talk this morning, and it gave me hope that there's good men out there. You know, as long as he's, you know, and then I looked at his Facebook page, and I noticed that like he has a jujitsu, like he teaches jujitsu, and I was like, all right, so that there's his discipline. You know, he's had to learn to discipline, and that's what we're seeing right now as a climate where people haven't been disciplined, and egos are running rampant, and self-will is running riot all over the world. And the thing of it is, and these egos, they're busting. They're like capacitors on a computer. They're just they're popping on the top. They're popping on the top because they're not getting their feed. They're not getting their fix of their ego of look at me, because everybody's all shut up, so they don't get that. Their jollies rocked from freaking getting the attention that they're ordinarily getting, and they're not acting well. Look at like Brian Adams. Like, I guess he said, I didn't think what he said was so bad myself, but people are just really starting to show their true colors right now. What is today? This must have been today, and I wrote the wrong date. Yep, I wrote the wrong date. Okay, hold on just a sec. I wrote notes this morning, and this light is flashing in my eyes, so it's okay, there's a couple different things I wanted to talk about today. When I went down, this has never been on one of my videos. I've been doing videos 3 years. It's been in a tote upstairs, and I went upstairs this morning to find, because the dude that did this talk, it said Ranger on his shirt, and I think I have an age ranger something memorabilia around here somewhere. I think maybe it's gone. I purged a lot of stuff, but memorabilia like that, it would have been weird. What I did find is I washed it today, is my basic training t-shirt. I don't think I ever wore that. It's been in my go bag, my A bag. You know, because you all get all this stuff. You get so much stuff being in the military. They just give you clothes and bags and gear, and you just get all this stuff. And then you get paid money, and then you get allowance for housing, and then you get a separate allowance for food, and you get all this extra money for food. You know, and then they give you and all this stuff, so you just get all this stuff. So everywhere you go, people buy a new house, and then they live there 3 years, and they go someplace and they buy a new house because they just rent out the other one, or you know. And so they've acquired all this real estate, and this machine has been going on for years and years and years, and now it's just like even the guy today, that's the machine that I see, is like, I worked in a conflict that it was made up. I was involved in a conflict that was made up. It broke a bunch of psyches, and then these broken psyches came back here, and then they just got where they went were to their duty, where they, they finished their enlistment, they got out, you know, from shorting out and seeing too much shit, and and all that stuff. Or maybe they stayed in to continue the because they could still allowed to do the same bro shit, and then get out and then go work in those police stations, right? I came across this today. This is my basic training's airman's manual. It's in very good condition. It's in freaking stellar condition. It's in perfect. And I'm like, this is what it's all about. This is why people spend, what is it, $714 billion, whatever the budget is up to. It's all for print. It's all marketing. It's all staples. It's all, bells and whistles. I've been learning about supply chain stuff for years, since I went to college in the early 2000s, and I've always, and I've had to pay attention to it because I was in maintenance. We were flight line support. None of these planes, I was an age ranger. None of these planes got off the ground without the equipment that I maintained to bring to the planes to start the planes to fly. There's no air power without ground power. We're age rangers. So I'm kind of a ranger of sorts. That's how when I was came to be at Offutt Air Force Base on 9/11, and I flipped Baby Bush, the bird, out the window on 9/11 when he taxied by, because I knew what a scumbag he was. I knew he was in it just for business. It's all about business, and there's no humanity in business. In the spirit of things, there's no room for that. And when people are like, oh, it's not personal, it's just business, that is a psychopath, that is a narcissist. And people like that don't have feelings, so they don't care about yours, because they put their feelings and their emotions and they tucked them away, and they're not accessible. So they do really gross shit, unethical shit that in their circles that they run around with is commendable, but it's disgusting. See, there's always two laws. There's always two different, there's so many different ways of looking at things, but there's the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, the light of it, the dark of it, the shadow side of it. There's always all aspect in every situation and in every human being. And so many people have been broken, their spirits and their bodies, because of making money that absorbs $700 billion. But hey, that's okay, because all the poor people that make under 100 and fucking, I wouldn't have ever made 190 whatever thousand, I know they're still getting 1,200. But I got a college degree, and the most I ever made was like 67,000. I was cool with that. I live within my means. I got to go on vacation. But see, when people's egos are out of balance and incongruent to their spirit, there's never enough. More is always better. That's why a lot of them are alcoholics. So now they're getting at a point of their age that their minds are becoming wet brained, where it's just like they're all ego. You're void of your spirit when alcohol steps in, and you're all ego. People do gross, weird shit, and then they forget who they are, and they're around, and then they get drunk, and then they get their wires crossed, and they get their timelines, it brings them back to a day, and then they actually think that their niece is like, a girl that they went to high school with, so they put and do whatever they think, and they think that they want it because they're getting signals, but yeah, because you're soused with alcohol and your perception is screwed. So that's why terrible things happen with the creepy, pervy uncle, and look what's happening with all these truths are being revealed, because people have done these gross, low vibrational behaviors for so long, but you can't hide the secrets. And now these people have been getting away with shit for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and it's like, no, money doesn't get to buy your peace and serenity when you have just wreaked havoc in the lives of other human beings. And it's these bloodlines, it's these people that are put in these positions of authority and power that keep getting to control it time and time again. And it's like Star Wars, man. The good has to win sometimes, man. The freaking egos can't win all the time, and it's gonna get worse before it gets better. I'm afraid of that timeline coming out. And seeing, that's what I say, is because we had to play these stupid war games bullshit every month, every month for every year, because some people wanted to come in and mark things off a list, and we had to, if we did this right, and compliance, and just more rules for control freaks to make more rules. And then if they didn't like how it's done, then they come back in a week and they do it different. It's just, it was a nightmare for me, because it was always who was in charge and how they felt that day. And it was, for me, because rules are stupid unless they serve a purpose to keep people safe. That's what rules for, or, you know, and laws are for, is to keep people safe. And people, so we had to do this bullshit then, you know. And there's two laws, because we had the UCMJ is an entirely different law for military members, you know. But now you're bringing the bullshit that we had to play and exercise with the mop gear and the masks and stuff, and the one direction, one entry point. You're bringing all this shit that we had to deal with into civilian life. But the thing of it is if you're going to do that, you better start freaking paying civilians for their base pay and their food allowance. You better start giving that to everybody. Because these people that are making the rules, they are still, you be sure they're still making their $240,000 a year. They're still bringing home their anywhere. They make at least $174,000 a year if they're in Congress, and there's only 535 seats. And they're allowing the people in these small-minded, see, these people are in positions because of money and who say, you know, the only reason why the woman is a governor of where I live is because she promised all the resource hogs, like, new shit. Yeah. Like, all the buildings downtown are getting all done. The pigs, the cops downtown are all got freaking, they're getting an $80 million police station right across the street where hundreds of homeless people sleep in tents. It's a slap in the face. And that's the thing, is these are guys that are all from the Bros Club that came back from the conflicts that I was involved in. I have a cousin who was one. He was in, that Desert Storm thing, and then he went back to his hometown, Tascadero, and then sat behind a desk and just got really fat, and just, you know, lived the life of you know, of a good life with a good wife and a family, and just sucking up resources, just getting paid extra, you know, all the benefits and all that, because, you know, there ain't no fucking crime in a Tascadero. Shit. Fucking Tascadero, it literally means little mud hole. Yeah, that's where my father's side grew up. Yeah, I wasn't a part, I didn't really have a whole lot of claims there. My brother and my father were born in the same 19-room hospital. Yeah, 20, however years apart that was, but how often that they were born at the same latitude and longitude. Yeah, I was born farther south. I was born San Bernardino, so I was more L-alien. I was closer to where the Battle of Los Angeles happened, so I have that vibe in me. Yeah, that's my frequency. Because I'm starseed. I got freaking, we're all stardust. It's all, but some of us are have a little bit closer to home than others. We're a little more aware of it because we care to be. Let's see if anybody's in the chat. Ooh, have you heard the way? Yeah, he's fucking disgusting. That's the thing, is like, yeah, he's doing great things in a lot of areas, but he's so disrespectful that I can't, that's the part that I can't get past. It's disgusting, and it's gross, and it's a too common of a storyline, and there's a lot of, I mean, every time I see people have their opinions, and that's why I have my dialogue here, is I see a girl with a man that's 20, 30, 40 years her senior. She's got daddy issues. I mean, it's love me, daddy, love me, and and there's so many different storylines that play out with that. Because I could have had those if I think that if I wouldn't have felt the vibration and looked in the eyes of evil in man and knew what they were, you know, that's a spectrum I didn't want to deal with. And I ain't never seen that in women. Women do have dark shadow in them because they can contribute that to allow that to happen. So that is something, that's a whole weird other little storyline within itself. But what people, because I did that when I was like 10 months old when that happened to me, I just never like men. But the thing of it is I had that vibration in me in previous incarnations too. That's from what I understand, when trauma happens to you at a younger age, and you're that's like, you're getting that payback immediately. So you know what exists out there. You don't get to ignore it. See, a lot of people just don't want to ignore it. And I've been talking for years about how the Calls Word series, when I worked at Creighton right up the street, and the freaking, our bosses would talk about how they would lock down the wireless because they didn't want the freaking sex traffickers every year that came in for the College World Series to use Creighton's network to do their sex trafficking. I mean, it was common knowledge, and it's just like, why don't people do shit to stop it? Oh, because of the people that benefit. And that's why I thought the dude's video this morning, that's like, people are gonna have to lose shit, and he lost his job, you know. And he'll be all right because he made such an impression that the universe will take care of him now. He's gonna make fucking, people are gonna throw money at that dude for the message that he had this morning because of the heart space. But he's a good-looking white, you know. I don't get that kind of press because of who I am, and people. I mean, I'm not a lot of people like me. I mean, people that like me are solid human beings, and it's more about quality than quantity to me. And it's always been that my whole entire life. I've lived that way. I have kept myself from being successful because I don't want to be mainstream. There's a time that, you know, more and more people are going to come into my heart space, and people that are supposed to see me are going to see me. And you know, I found my CD. I have 2 CDs that I've done my talk for back when I was in recovery. Talk for everybody. There's no freaking traditions anymore. Everybody just, I've been sober this long. Right on the newspaper, used to be, people didn't talk about it on the level of press, radio, and film. But now it's just, look at me. So there's a little bit of my ego. I'm on CD and tape. I'm on 2 mediums. Oh, and here, so that's 3. Anyway. I just like to tell stories, and I have a pretty wild story to tell. And up until this point, I've heard a lot of stories of people that have come up with ideas based on reading other stories and books. But my example and people that I'm drawn to are more of the line people have actually had life experience. I've always loved listening to older people because of living the lives that they've lived and just the possibilities of places to go. And then as I went on, I actually got to have these experiences in my life, you know, and I got to transmute a lot of energy, a lot of shadowy energy, just the presence of my vibration being there, you know. Like I was telling Mom the story earlier about the time that when I was at Crete and Operation Iraqi Bullcrap just kicked off, and there was a dude walking across the flight line. He had bags and stuff, and so I stopped and I was like, "Hey, dude, you need a lift?" You know, obviously, if he was walking on the flight line, he had the authority to be there. So I was age support, Rage Ranger. So picked him up, and he's like, "I'm going over there," and it was the B-1 bomber. And I was like, fucking jeez, because I'm all about engineering. I'm a freaking... it was a high moment for me, and I was like, hey, dude, can I go in the cockpit? Can I go up? And he's like, you know, yeah, sure. So I got to go in the cockpit, you know, and, you know, there are rules, security clearance and all, in the bros club, you know, if he pissed off somebody, he could get in trouble, and you know, whatever. But it's just like, I gave him a lift, and it was like, hey, can I check out your car kind of thing. But it's happened to be a freaking B-1 bomber, and then I went up into the cockpit, and then I was like, wow, that's freaking cool, you know, because really, in the scheme of things, how many get to go in those? But how many pay for them? Everybody pays for it. Everybody pays for it so these guys can play in these toys. And then they go over to these countries that are tiny, and then they freaking bomb the shit out of them. And then they pay themselves 3 times as much as that they would make over here to rebuild the shit that they broke. And this is the stuff that people are figuring out. And people's psyches are breaking. And then they're coming back here, and they're joining all these police forces, and they're just doing what they're told. And they're just doing what they're told. But the thing of it is this shit, the shit that we had to do with it's just that don't keep people healthy. What keep people healthy is getting out and getting exercise and fresh air, and eating healthy foods, and being with their friends, and raising your vibrations, and laughing, and maybe drinking some if you don't have the obsession of craving. I do. I don't drink like a normal person. That's not something I can do. But I make a mean cookie that freaking are transcendent to people and make people feel good. See, that's the thing. That's why I was like, the cookie shop, and I gotta find another cookie shop because now I won't go back. because I got offended. I get offended. See, the offense is we have the choice to be offended. I'll probably get over it one day, maybe. I don't know, maybe not. There's plenty of flower shops, you know. I ain't trying to live here forever anyway, and so, it was a power play that was given, and it was a respectable power play. But that's the thing. It's just like when people try to put me in a position to have me act in a certain way, just to show that they're. I recognize a power play in everything, in posture, in that's, and I've talked about it in videos in the last few years. That's a cretin to me, is a man that will put his hand on his shoulder, on it, and on a kid's shoulder, and like, because they freaking, you, what you don't understand is a lot of times, depending on the man, they're freaking digging in. I've had people that did that, and then it's a way of controlling, dominating, like, especially if I was really active. And the more active I was, because I've always had a lot of energy, the more is like a control and dig in. See, these fucking people do it subtly. And then, but what the thing is that's when they're younger, but when they get older, their egos get so big. I saw a video this morning with that Hanks dude. I fucking never liked the dude. I mean, I liked him in, like, bosom buddies and stuff like that. You getting that itch, Ben? Buddy, you getting it? Shake it off, bud. It's a marsh. Ben, I got itchies. And it was like, it was a video with him and Conan O'Brien, and it was so awkward. It was so uncomfortable because his ego is so big, and it just seeps through. And that's what's happening to a lot of people right now, is they can't hide who they are anymore. Their faces are coming off, and they're not so pretty. See, people don't have to get, you know, and I could tell how people are by how they age. Like, I knew freaking that Cosby dude would freaking age like and he's got, like, skin tags everywhere, and he's blotchy, and he's just, he doesn't, I mean, even if he wasn't found out to be a freaking pervert, which I knew he was from the time I was 2 years old, 3 years old, even if he wasn't, and if he held it all together, he's still a very ugly man. And to me, it's the insides match the outsides in a lot of ways. It's symbolism is in everything. It's not just in the perverts. So people need to be easy with the symbolism is everything. Symbolism lets me know that people are good people too. So let's not demonize things that don't need to be there's plenty of other stuff that I'm for that everyone else isn't for, because they don't see the full spectrum of the capacity of that it has good to offer too in a lot of situations. Look at all these freaking 401ks and shit. You know, there's never been a time on the planet where there's ever been more money. Ever. Come here, Ben. You get comfy. Find your spot. Ever. And there's also, and at a time where there's more technology and more advancements and more opportunity, there's also more homeless than there ever anyone ever. There shouldn't be any with all the research, with all the non-for-profits. I call them not not-for-profits. Because all you're doing is paying for their cars that they drive around and stuff with their logos and stuff on it. Right, and their buddies give them all this money, and then very little goes to the people. Very little ever goes to the people that actually need it. I got a letter from the city yesterday. I haven't had running water in 3 years because I had to choose, because their bad city project. It's all in my folder, Salem. It's all in there. I've done this whole videology about it. You know, because I haven't had running water in 3 years because they made a mistake, and then my water usage was tied to them running a sprinkler to water weeds for 4 months during the spring, summer, fall, to water weeds. My usage went on that, and then I couldn't afford. It was water or dog food, and I chose dog food. So I stand by my choice. But nobody tried to do me a favor to ever get it turned on, right? Nobody. I have like 7 business cards of people that are just like, I'm just doing my job. Blank, blank. I'm just doing my job. So I'm just doing my job squad, you know, and look how all, because they have been so blessed with all of what they're, look at how much these people are getting paid. Go to the city pages, local government pages, to see how much these people are paying themselves. And that's why the states want to stay closed, because we got $1,200, but they're getting billions. They're getting billions of dollars to play with, to build their cop shops, and to redo, you know, and to upgrade their big old concrete building downstairs. But but they're not putting homeless people in houses or apartments and things like that, you know, because they're egos, they're numbers, they're all about numbers, and they really think they're helping. They really do. Look at all the good we're doing. So they're getting bank from the Fed. So they'll get more. The longer we stay closed, the more money we're gonna get. And then so that's when it's gonna start getting tense in the astrology this summer, is because people want to get out and live their lives, because, you know, alienable rights and all that. But other people get more money, and because we live in a society, obviously we live in a society where money matters more than people. Otherwise there would be no homeless. There would not be pockets of puddles of refugees floating around Europe because I got to go into a cockpit of a B-1 bomber, you know, so bros can make more money. It's all a rich man's game of chess, like trading places. And incidentally, the interesting thing about that B-1 bomber story is it occurred to me, because I'm a transmuter. We all are. We all can live a better life than we lived before and stop doing those gross behaviors. So, because it occurred to me, I was in that B-1 bomber cockpit for a minute. And I was so excited for a minute, and it was a video later, I can't remember which one it was, but it was just really interesting because it hit me that it was that guy and that pilot in that cockpit that dropped bombs on freaking potentially hundreds, potentially thousands of civilians and killed a lot of people. So my excitement because of the, you know, the engineering and the mechanics of it and all that. And the thing, you could see it in my face that it occurred to me, like I about went like it was heavy karmically, that to be in such close proximity. I didn't touch anything or anything, but to be in the cockpit of something, to take that many lives, you know, and that's how, those are the lives, that's karma. Every year we're reminded with stories like the Christmas carries, for every life that you take, you get a chain, Like I said, I was age support. It was our equipment that, you know, so I contributed. I had a part in that. So I could use a college degree. So I could go to college and get a degree. And guess what? I got my college degrees. I got a couple of them on the wall. They're collecting dust. I'm not using them now because I look out for mom. And the state recognizes, what am I worth? You know, any other job, you get paid for your college degree, veteran status. Not if you take care of your parent. Not if you're a caregiver. No, you are worth $14.85. For the equivalency of 50 hours every 2 weeks. It's not even 40 hours at 80 hours. They don't even recognize you as enough as a person. So, yeah, the people that are in charge and make up stupid rules, I'm not for them. I never have been. Because I lived their stupid rule. I could only do 6 years. I know people that are getting out now at 20 years. I could only, and they got big old huge houses, you know, their families are taken care of. They've you know, they had all these health problems, but they don't got no bills, because if you're a military member, you just go to the doctor and you don't pay for it. It doesn't rack up bills like it ruins other people's lives. It's an entirely different game. Stupid bullshit. Nonsense. Landfill. And then, see, the thing of it is this is this version, right? And then in 6 months they put out a different version, makes this obsolete, but they spend freaking millions of dollars because, you know, local printers got to make a freaking... It's just all fucking business, and there's no humanity in that. That's cool. 3 uncles that were mechanics are good people, man. They can dip into ego too. A lot of mechanics. Our winner. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Our water company said I owe you $900. I never even had a meter installed. That's the thing. That's how they get you. You have your own well. It's the city. It's the city. It's not even the water company anymore. It's the city bill. So if you look at your city bill, because I haven't had water in 3 years, but I still get a $54 city bill. Okay? Now the city bill is so you can call the police. And I talked about in other videos about how I've called the police because a fucking asshole's daughter was driving by too fast and I yelled at her to slow down. And he came back after work. You little short fat fuck. He's just pissed because he hadn't seen his dick in probably 25 years and freaking Viagra is gonna freaking not work one day anyway. So his masculinity was long gone long ago. But so he throws around his freaking. I'm like, dude, what were you? He was a medic? Get the fuck out of my face. Yeah, there's a place for you, but not in my face. And the man threatened my life, so I called the police, and they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll make note of it. Didn't call the cops out, right? But there are other reasons. Been other times that the cops have randomly showed up at my house after I've done certain videos. I'm like, really? That's interesting. And I had one cop tout because it was on the ballot. The cop shop was on the ballot, and it was like to use city fund, like $26 million of city funds to build this. And I'm like, you fucking who? Yeah, that's why they call you guys pigs, because you're resource hogs, because you're fucking pigs. And and I'm talking to the ones that have let yourself go, like the 80% that y'all let yourself go, not the 20% that are still fit and fucking give a shit about your fucking selves enough to fucking, have enough self-control to keep the fucking donut in your mouth, not let alone not pull the trigger. They're the second lowest testing score takers in the military is officers, and they get paid too much, and they get too much stuff. They get too much equipment. They don't gotta pay for it. It's just all a club, bros club, and I was never invited. So I get a letter from City of Salem. Oh yeah, so yeah, so the stuff I actually paid for, the $54 that they tack on, so they can paint the lines on the street every 3 weeks. Yeah, that fade. They just keep painting constantly. Yeah, these are what, and everybody could be getting a check every month for $1,200, $2,000, but this is what they fucking blow their money on. So billing assistance and support for our customers will be facing blah blah. We can help you but we're not going to shut up. We're not going to cut off service. So I'm like, oh, okay. I wonder if I'm going to be grandfathered in. If should I expect someone to come knock on my door 3 years later? Because I've been paying the bill down, but I'm paying it down from like almost I think it was like $1,300 when I started. When I just figured I don't know how long I'm going to be here. So I might as well make it a little bit more comfortable, because I was just going to use that money to move. But then everything started happening, so I'm just paying it down. So I've been paying like $100, so hopefully by August I'll have it turned on. But see, people can do favors I've seen people do favors for people. That's why I thought it was funny when people oh, you can't, when they do power plays for me, you can't do this, you have to do, you're telling me and directing me and guiding that's fine. You can do that. You're establishing authority and your dominance, and that is your, but when I think about going in cockpits of bombers, and I didn't have it's just because people let people do things. If people want to help people, they will help each other. And I will be one day, hopefully freaking between my photography and my dog on it that I want, and all my ideas, that I'm going to start freaking collecting enough money that I can give away 49% and just start showing people how much fucking money you don't need. So all these city, state, government employees that you're paying yourself anywhere from $7,000 to $20,000 a month, I would be glad to show people how much that they don't need to do that. And it's all ego. It's all ego. It's all ego, and it's all fear. And that's why freaking dipshit Brown, freaking governor where I live, has her stupid organ sealed freaking. I can't freaking just. It's all ego. Those aren't even spiritual beings anymore. They have lost all sense because it's all about business. It's all about business. It's all about business. It's all about business. Oregon only has 4.5 million people in it. The way they spend money, and the project, I also talk about the project of all the money, the big, huge concrete blocks that that they use, that I have it right here. I put it on SnapMax. These big old huge concrete blocks. You see how big they are? People can walk through that. Okay? They're big old huge concrete blocks. I got it. See? That's my front. This is when they put the covert pipe. Like you could almost drive through that, right? Concrete blocks. They had those concrete blocks. I live in Salem, Oregon. They had them made up in Washington and shipped down on a flatbed. They outsourced. They could have put all that money into local jobs, masons, contractors here in Salem. But somebody knows a guy, and so and you think shipping at Amazon costs a lot. What do you think shipping these 5 colossal pieces of concrete cost? See, and then they outsource, and then they inflate costs and say, oh, we need freaking $90,000 to have this stuff shipped from down. And they're doing the same thing with the police station, with the electric company. They're having the electricians outsourced from California, a company in California. It's all about business. It's nothing personal. Where's the humanity in that? And people are going to get sick of it. People already are sick of it. And the thing of it is, there used to be a police. Yeah, it might get ugly and stuff like that, you know. But hey, it ain't going to get as ugly as it would be if those freaking guys were all in shape and stuff. But they all let themselves go. So I ain't really too worried about it. I was talking to Mom about... See, fuck them. Fuck them in their fucking water. See, it's the city bill. You got to change the terminology. It used to be water bill, but now it's city. And then so you're paying for them to frickin'... Oh, and what else they do? Look at all the city cars that they keep buying themselves. And they're always getting themselves new cars. And do you know what it takes? When I worked at G4S, I worked right on the other side of the cubicle from the dude. He had to be a Capricorn or a Virgo. Frickin' birds outside. Attention to detail, he was good for that position. Had a personality of a gnat, but would keep track of shit, and he had to, because what it entails to keep track of a fleet, for a large group like that, and for G4S, it was the third largest at the time. I don't know what it is now. It's the third largest employer in the world. They're the security people. I was IT department for them. So, for North America, as IT support for G4, yeah, I've done some shit. I know some people. I've learned some paradigms, you know. And the people that want the freaking biggest projections are the biggest egos, you know. They always get freaking food taken in. Ego. You know, I could have gotten paid so much. That's what I would keep track of. I'm like, I could get paid so much more, but you guys get to freaking go to Vegas every spring for a conference to fucking cheat on your spouses and freaking, you know, dip into your ego and do gross shit, you know, and write it off as a company expense. It's just freaking ridiculous. Anyway, I don't work for them anymore. But he took care of the fleet, and he was on the phone always with me, because the people fucking don't care, because these vehicles don't belong to them, so they don't fucking care. They drive them on the weekends. I've seen these city employees teaching their kids how to drive. Because why is that 16-year-old kid? I wish I would have got a picture of that 16-year-old kid. I know that guy was teaching his kid how to drive in a freaking City of Salem truck. I fucking know it. I had my camera, and I didn't have enough wherewithal or whatever to freaking get that shot. Because that proves my point, is that, you know, because they deserve it, and egos deserve it. See, people that are balanced, they don't need a bunch of shit to prove to the world that they're freaking worth a shit. They just act like they're worth a shit. When somebody's stuck in the middle of the street, you help push them out. You don't stand there behind them and honk on them and make it worse, you know? And we're really starting to see a split with the narcissist and the empath. Light, shadow. Everybody is all of it, but what are you 51% more of? You know? That's the thing. I'm 51% more of light, but that 49% of me is pretty cantankerous. But I have a physical practice that I try and do daily in meditation, man. That keeps me connected to source. I ask everybody if they meditate, or at least try. You gotta at least try, man. People don't even try. Come on. It's fucking now is the age. Better fucking start trying. Binaural beats, man. Use Lillian Eden, Rasa, Michael, Joe Tracy, Michael Seeley. There's so many. You just gotta find something that aligns with you. Just to unplug from the world that, you know, something that you plug into that's bigger than yourself, nature verifies. Bigger than you. Yeah, these cities say they pay themselves, and they pay themselves for their fleets because they're important. And then they, you know why? You know why they tell them themselves? Because when these are the people that go home and then they don't have control over their kids, so then they freaking pump their kids up with Adderall and shit like that. So now they're having a really hard time because their kids are freaking bouncing off the walls. I mean, people are freaking, because you're finding out who people really are. It's because it's like, I've done videos like, I've talked about that before, about how I went from living in 3D Earth to freaking stopping when I moved to Oregon, and how it did felt like, it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. If you're cut off from the world, you get fired, you're cut off from your everyday life, it's an isolation. You're cut off. You don't get, you know, and chances are, if you're like me, and my tax bracket, you can't go out and spend money on stuff because you don't know how long you're going to be cut off for. So you know, being practical. I do. Other people just live off credit cards and shit like that, and I ain't looking for that kind of karma. I do take care of myself. Like today, I got AAA because I'm at a position in my life. I don't fucking want to be changing. I can change the tire in the big red truck. I don't have an accident jack. But it's just soon, you know. Plus, towing, it's just a comfort. I think people should have security like that. Practice security like that, not freaking... I was watching some of these videos of these protests, you know, these militiamen at their freaking... It's fucking scary how many guns that people have. And they're supposed to be just hanging out, you know, shooting rounds off with their buddies in a field and shit like that. See, and it's the vibrational frequency of the person holding it, and that's what scares me, the psychology of that, you know. Did you have a lot of fun doing that, and you know, and taking people out and stuff like that with your buddies over there? Or did you find it that ain't right? Because most people that are more balanced in their spirit and their freaking humanity know that taking other people's lives it ain't right. You don't do that. You don't kill people, you don't harm people, you don't hurt people, you don't put your freaking hands on people without permission. So when people do things to hurt people, it's gross to me. And more people are getting, and they get it's control and it's power, and we're going to get a little shout onto the shadow side. I was naive in a lot of areas, and I had a buddy who was in Desert Storm, Mike. He was a roommate of mine in Sacramento. I wish I would have known whatever happened to the dude. Anyway, he taught me a lot about life. We had a lot of good times. And this one particular life lesson, and he was a gay dude, you know, and you never could have told. Total, you know, military cut, you know, I never would have guessed. My gaydar sucks anyway, because people trick and hide and whatever. They do a lot of stuff to cover up and fit in, and so I just keep trying to keep track of what people are sexual, and it's none of my business. I don't need to think about that. It's private anyway. So he liked his little Mexican dudes. He's a good dude. Anyway, he taught me about getting away, about deployment, how all these, you know, guys would freaking, you know, total bros club, you know, beat up gays over here and stuff. This is in the early 90s, mind you. Be just total dicks, stuff like that, and then go over there and then, take on the lifestyle, you know, and they're like, we're not gay. Well, if you're having, yeah, you are. You know, if you're still doing certain behaviors, yeah, you are. You can tell yourself you're not, but you know, and being married and having kids, it doesn't matter. You know, the sanctity of all that. You know, so people can say my whole life. My mom, people have always said things and then have done the opposite. So, and I used to believe them. That's what used to cause the dissidence in me, is I would really honestly believe, because I wanted to believe what people said, because people would freaking are sweet talkers and they said things that sounded good, and if life was the way they said it would be, then life would be good for me. But their actions never, ever supported that. So I started feeling how I started really listening, and that's where the dissidence comes from, is going against my belief system, because I'd always go, that's bullshit, but I wanted to believe him, so I'd believe him, and then I'd get hurt. And it's just like, listen to you jackass, and then people started falling away more and more and more, and now I have few people left. I got my dogs, I got my mom, I got enough, I got plenty. I got a couple, hanging out with my friend, but my buddy this morning is a good time, we laugh. She raises my vibe, and that's what's important, is to be around like-minded people that are, you know, like-minded with, and you just laugh with, you know. She's so witty and clever, I dig it. You know, it reminds me of other people I've known in my life that are witty and clever. Because I'm tired of freaking all the same. I never, you know, when I was in the Air Force, I was around the time they made Jackass 2 the number one. I'm like, I'm freaking doing all this shit, breaking my back, so you people can freaking make Jackass 2 the number one movie. And then our challenges were freaking people that I knew were freaking drinking gallons of milk and throwing up. I'm like, really? We're the ones with thumbs. Shouldn't we be doing better at this point? And then now, still 2020, look at the challenges. Huh. You don't think cycles are real? This is something that occurred to me today, and I think I'll go soon because I've been running on my mouth long enough, is the cycles of astrology. When I was 12 years old, I missed a lot of school. I went to like 4 different schools. There was a period that I didn't go to school for 7 weeks. And it was 1986. So if you're alive and you think back where you were in your planetary alignments, and if it was hard for you, then we might be close in frequency. So it was a very hard time for me. And now I think about it, I have a niece that's about 12. And her being without school, or being out of school for such an extended period of time, it's being cut off. It's that experience of isolation. It's that getting in touch with your imagination to keep yourself entertained enough and elated and happy enough every day to live the same day over and over and over and over without it just making you mad. It's not fun. And that's what we're seeing. We're going to see a lot of people, like, they're antsy, they want to get out, they're going to get out, and they got the right to get out, and they're going to take their right. And then you're going to have the other bros club that are just going to, I'm just doing my job squad. They're going to stand up and defend their $80 million police stores because they're just doing their job, and they, you know, and all this stuff because they have the mentality because they picked it up overseas. You know, it's just this perpetuous vicious cycle, but people are waking up to it more and more. And I hope to be a guide to help soften the blow. And it ain't that, just keep imagining the world how you want it. When I was trying to sign up for AAA, I tell everybody I do YouTube videos. I was telling the girl at AAA today, I was like, yeah, I'll be live later. She's like, I'm gonna check you out. I'm like, check me out. So Anna, I think her name was. So if Anna's watching AAA, hey, what's up? So I tell everybody I do videos, and then, I don't know why my train of thought just derailed about that. Let's look at the chat! Wasted. People are so greedy. That is fucking crazy. Yeah. And that's the thing, is the people that have those many firearms, they don't have they're mental midgets. I mean, a lot of them, not all of them. Not all of them. A lot of them are mental midgets, and it's a control thing. It's a control thing. It's all about dominance and control. You know, that's why freaking grown ass men do freaking crazy pervert things to kids like they did, like happened to me when I was a little girl. 10 months old, 11 months old. That's some freaking twisted chasing sensation shit. When you're putting your parts into parts that are there's no spirit in that. That is a human being that just has, and that's a psychopath, and that's a narcissist, and people don't understand. People like that, they don't feel feelings. They have put their feelings away and compartmentalized their feelings in a place where they just won't acknowledge them. I know this for a fact. I'm related to people like this. Not that have done things to that dastardly, but you put your feelings away, what you're capable after an extended period of time can be pretty gruesome. And if you have the propensity to drink and add alcohol, then that removes your spirit more, and then people start getting their wires crossed again. People start looking, you know, meh, it's a slippery slope. But people, you know, well, how do I not do that? Well, people should not be drinking booze right now. With the astrology, with Venus went into retrograde, about to, depending on where you live. Love is about to be lost, and that is not a replacement right now. If you're I'm seeing it on Facebook. I'm seeing people do like alcohol of not drinking for 30 days, and I'm like, fuck, thank God that people are choosing the light, that are choosing better options for themselves. Because anything that is ego-based right now is to the detriment. It is. It's to the detriment. And we're going to see it fold out. It's just, oh, another one by, oh, yeah. I mean, fucking dude, I didn't even pay attention to politics at all. That's why a lot of this stuff went down, is because smart people like me didn't pay attention. But one day, smart people like me, I'm going to throw on a freaking, one of my hundreds of fancy shirts that I used to wear when I suit up and show up, and one of my gazillions of bow ties, and I'm gonna freaking stand up, and I'm gonna run for something. I'm gonna run for something, and the first thing I'm gonna do when I run for something is forfeiture pay. I'm gonna whatever, you know, whatever position I'm in, I'll take about half of that. Yeah. You know, whether you want, and they'll waste it. So what I'll do? I'll give away. I'll make sure I give away 51%. I want to make sure other people's dreams come true. People that are like-minded like me. Because I got all kinds of ideas for projects, and I want to work with other people. Small businesses, screen printing, things like local business, getting back to grassroots, and bartering. See, the government has enough. They have plenty. They have so much, they piss it away and waste it. And there's a group of people that we just want to live our lives joyfully and happily. Hang out with our friends, maybe eat some cookies. I make some good ones the last batch, caramel and freaking roasted cinnamon. I make it in a toasted oven. These are transcendent. It's all about the heart space. It's all about love. And when you wake up the next day, you're energized, ready and raring to go. Nobody gets hurt. Yeah. So, but I have the propensity, I have the obsession for craving. That's me. That's my karmic lesson. Yeah. It is. I've been yammering on for fucking way too long. Yeah. I don't feel bad about it. I feel good. I knew I was going to go a little long tonight because it was a good day. It's a good day. I feel good. There ain't a lot going on in the world. I think there's a couple of talks that I can watch. Yeah, I was about. Yeah, I just see, and I'm too. The thing, what makes me nervous. That's why I was talking about my friend. My friend was telling me a story today. The way I look at it, the people that I'm in alignment with have had tragedy in their life, trauma kids, that have overcome it and have still managed to live a somewhat joyful life, and are still trying to be a better person more often than we're freaking yelling at people or pissed off or annoyed or telling somebody they're fucking stupid or the product of siblings or whatever. Because I ain't always light. It ain't always loving like kids. So, but some of the is like, and some other markers of like physical trauma or being shocked, something where, that heightened senses, because there are situations that our bodies come up out of our spirits come up out of our bodies. And she was talking about one today, and she was talking about how she was electrocuted, and she was like, I was locked into the circuit. And that's the things that people don't understand. Electricity has such a cool potential, but it is freaking crazy strong. There were chores that we had to do down at the E4 hangar down when I was off at the support planes, and you had to bring a buddy, and you had to bring the wooden stick, because freaking electricity, and you're the right vibe, something in there, that freaking arc, that electricity can arc like freaking feet. I'm talking feet. And it fries your insides and stuff, and your organs just, yeah, you're done. So you get locked in. It can cook you. It cooks you. Why people wouldn't think it wouldn't is weird to me. So, but I'm like, yeah, I've been locked in. So if you've been locked in, like I touched an electrical fence, and I talked to a young gal at the flower shop that evidently she's done this. So you grow up in a farm, that's probably a likely experience, a ranch, that's probably a common experience that you have, that you learn about circuitry. That's when I learned. I was about 7. Yeah, so what electricity does, and that we are all electricity, and we all have that potential. It's what we do with that potential every day that our heart beats. That space in between. What are we doing with that space in between? Are we thinking about it for creative things, for people, for for everybody, for the goodness of everybody, or for just us because we deserve it? All we've been through, all that shit, all that ego stuff, man. It is. I see. It's just staticky people. I see just more, because they ain't gonna. People, the ego's that big. They're over 51%, and they ain't gonna do no favors for me or anybody I know. So I'm just going to try and create a world in a 5D Earth around them, and they can stay off in the split world. They can stay down there, the 3D, and I just won't even see them because they'll just be all hidden behind their mask, and that's just to tell. So, that's about all I got for now. Hope you have a rad evening. Peace.